Hi everyone, my name is Serena. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about all of the books that I read since my last wrap up, which was in April. I'm not sure, but let's say this is a late spring, summer book reading wrap up. Since my last wrap up, I think I read 20 books, which is amazing. I can't believe I'm reading. I'm not going to talk about all 20 books because 3 of them I talked in a previous video and other 7 of them I talked in another video. So overall, I think I'm going to talk about only 10 books. So let's just get right into it. The first book that I read after I finished that wrap up was Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. This is a thriller that has been on my bookshelf for a while now, and I had read a book by Karen Slaughter before. I think it was The Perfect Daughter. So this book is about a woman named Claire whose eldest sister disappeared a long time ago. And in the present day, there is another disappearance, and she realized that the two disappearances, the one of the girl today and the one of her sister, are linked, connected in some way. So she's trying to figure out what actually happened and if her sister is still alive, and if not, where's her body and who did it and all that. And she discovers some crazy stuff that she wasn't expecting, especially after all these years. It's long. It's pretty long. It's like 600 pages. No, it's 535-ish pages. Still long. But I like shorter thrillers. This was good. I'm not saying it was bad. I think I gave it like 3.5, 4 stars. It was gruesome. I think that Karen Slaughter's books tend to be very gruesome, and a lot of people don't like that, so don't read it if you don't like gruesome stuff, graphic stuff. The torture scenes are very graphic. I didn't understand a lot of people's actions, like the FBI's actions, like why. I mean, I guess in real life there are corrupt people in law enforcement, but yeah. This was it was good. Like 3.5, 4 stars. I recommend it if you like longer thrillers. I also read the novella of this book, Blonde Hair, Blue Eyes, and I'm gonna be honest, I already forgot about this. I give it 3 stars. I usually give like novellas, short stories, 3 stars. This is about the disappearance of her sister Julia a long time ago. So yeah, we get to see the backstory of that. After that, I reread Daisy Jones and the Six. I don't think I have to talk about this much, but Taylor Jenkins Reid is one of my favorite authors, and I love this book. I remember reading this a long time ago. I say a long time ago, it was like 2018, 2019, probably 2019. I really enjoyed this book, and this is the UK cover, which is pretty colorful. I watched the show. It was good. I enjoyed it. I really like the actors. They look amazing. They did good. And I just wanted to reread this book and refresh my memory, and it's still a 5 star. I enjoyed it. I like the whole 80s, 90s, 70s, 60s. I don't know. I like the whole like Hollywood era, and it's about this band who breaks up, and it's like a documentary style book with interviews, and we try to figure out what happened. Why did they break up? The Daisy Jones and the Six show is a little bit different from the book. Not a lot, but like certain details, like Camilla didn't have twins in the show. I think Eddie and Camilla wasn't a thing in the book. I'm kind of like meshing the two things together, but yeah, overall, Billy is trash. Camilla, girl, she did all the work. I swear, women love to do all the work just to save a relationship with a guy. I love her. She deserves better. And I love the friendship between Camilla and Karen. Love that. And I also love how Simone was more of a main character in the show than in the books. She had her own episode. I love that. I love that. I just wanted to mention that some stuff that I noticed in the show that were different from the books, because I like how sometimes they change for, you know, things for the better. After that, I read One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. By the way, I really want to watch Red, White, and Royal Blue, the movie. I know it just came out. I really want to watch it. If you watched it, did you like it? Let me know. This is about a lesbian love story. It's about this girl named August, I believe, who lives in New York City. She is a waitress and she takes the subway. And she keeps seeing this girl on the subway. I think her name, Jane. Jane is her name. And she keeps seeing her on the subway and they interact. But she starts to get suspicious because she sees her every time she goes on the subway, and she is always dressed in a very old-fashioned way and stuff like that. So slowly she discovers that this woman is stuck in time on the subway. She's from the 70s, I believe. So they're trying to figure out a way how to save her, how to release her from this loop of being on a subway every day, all day. And they fall in love, obviously, and it was fun. I think I gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed it very, very much. Also, this book was a gift from Marley. Her channel name is Marley Reads a Lot. I'm glad that I enjoyed this one because I love when I enjoy books that are gifted to me. Then I read 3 nonfictions. I read I'm Glad My Mom Died, Hood Feminism, and Know My Name. And this is a video I filmed for that. I talk about them in depth if you want to know my thoughts, but overall they were all great nonfictions. I think I gave I'm Glad My Mom Died 5 stars, Know My Name 5 stars, and Hood Feminism 4 stars. But yeah, they were great nonfictions. I recommend them. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna mention the 7 books that I'm not gonna talk in depth here that I've talked about a lot in my previous vlog that I just uploaded, reading booktuber's favorite books. These books are Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney, In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado, Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zoner, What My Bones Know by Stephanie Fu, The Measure by Nikki Erlich, The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien, and House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. These 7 books I talk in depth in this video right here. Spoiler alert, I did enjoy every single one of them. Some I enjoyed more, some I enjoyed a little bit less, but if you want to know my thoughts in a vlog style video, watch this because I'm so proud of myself. I actually finished a vlog. I read Outlander. Can you believe that? In one of my like popular books I'm not gonna read, or popular series I'm not gonna read, I did mention Outlander, and the only reason why I didn't want to read this one was because it's a long series and the books are heavy and long and I was like, am I gonna read it? But then my ex-roommates gifted the first 4 books to me for my birthday, and I said to myself, well, I guess I have to read them now. So I did end up reading the first book this summer. And I did that during and after I've been to Scotland this summer. And that was a fun experience. I did go on an Outlander tour in Scotland. So I visited some of the filming locations of the first season. And that was so fun to experience, reading the books while actually seeing the places they filmed in. That was fun and I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I know it was written like in the 90s or 80s, I don't know. And there are some outdated stuff, some problematic stuff, especially when it comes to like the marriage between Jamie and Claire. It's also set in like the 1700s, I think. So he seemed pretty open-minded, Jamie, for being a man in the 1700s, to be honest. But yeah, there were a lot of problematic stuff, kinda. There were a lot of like animal comparisons for some reason. The whole like whipping thing, you know, it's hard to read some parts, especially the parts with at the end, Jamie and Randall. You can tell that she's older than him and he is so stubborn, and by he I mean Jamie. But yeah, overall I enjoyed the show and it was a good book. Will I continue on eventually? Sure, but there's no rush. Oh, and Outlander is about this woman who goes on a honeymoon, like a second honeymoon in Scotland with her husband in the 1940s, and she touches some magical rocks and goes back in time in the 1700s and meets Jamie Fraser. The next book that I read was Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This is actually my first R.F. Kuang. I do want to read Babel, but this was my first one. It was interesting. I have to say it was kind of funny too. It's like satirical in a way. And this book is about two author friends, June and Athena. One of them is Asian, the other one is white. And one day they're hanging out and something very absurd happens and the Asian author dies. So June, the white author, finds one of her unfinished novels and decides to steal it, basically. She changes the words so she can say she wrote it, kind of, or it's like a joint work kind of situation, but like, she stole the book and published it under her name. And it's a story about Asian people, obviously, so it's like cultural appropriation. She's talking about a culture she's not a part of, and she does publish it under a different name. I think June Singh, maybe, which I think it's a popular like Asian last name. So yeah, it's weird, and she is really convinced that she did all the work when she actually didn't. The idea was her friend's idea, and her friend wasn't a good person, so it doesn't justify her actions. You don't steal anyone's work, and it kind of becomes a habit for her. It's a fun book, I have to say. It was funny in a way, but it's a serious topic. It's so extra, it's so exaggerated. As I said, it's funny. I think I gave it like 4 stars. And also this was one of my most anticipated books of 2023. So I'm glad I read it in time, because I usually tend to do a most anticipated video and never like read all of the books. So I'm glad that I read this one. After that, I read 2 of the books that I had physically in Italy. They are still in Italy. I didn't bring them here, but I had them on my shelves in Italy, and I noticed that I've never read them. So while I was in Italy, I decided to read them. I finally finished the Lunar Chronicles. I read Winter. This is the 4th and final book, and it's about Winter's story, Snow White's story. It's the 4th book in the series. I don't want to talk about the plot, but overall, it's a good series for young adults. If you're a young adult, if you know young adults, recommend this book because it's fun. They're basically retellings of certain stories, so like Cinderella, the Little Red Riding Hood, Rapunzel, and Snow White. So they're retellings in a futuristic setting. I also finished Stars Above last night. It's the like collection of short stories with all like, you know, short stories about certain characters, how they grew up and how they got to the main plot, and yeah, we got to know the characters better. And there was also like an epilogue type of story, and it was cute. I gave it 3 stars. The other book that I read is a very old book. Do you remember this? Eleanor Park by Rainbow Rowell. It's like a preteen book. It really is, and you can tell it was written like 10 years ago. It's about these 2 kids in high school, Eleanor and Park. Park is Korean, and we know he's Korean since the first page because the kids cannot stop mentioning the fact that he's Korean. The name Park even like really highlights the fact that he's Korean, and they always talk about his mom. And that kind of gave like a weird vibe to me that they always talk about his race. It's about them being in school. Eleanor has a really like this bad like family dynamic at home because her mom is married to a horrible man, and they're kind of poor, and she has a lot of siblings, so she has problems at home. And yeah, there's a lot of, as I said, racial stereotypes. Anyway, I gave it 2 stars. I'm glad I got it over with, and it's not on my TBR anymore. Lastly, I want to talk about the book that I read on the plane from Italy to here. It's Never Lie by Frida McFadden, and this was a book recommended to me by one of my friends, and it was really fast paced. I read it on a 8-hour flight at 2 times speed. And I also watched 2 movies. So that was a very productive flight home. I enjoyed it. Again, it's about this married couple who goes to visit a house. They're trying to buy a house and they visit this house, but like the weather is bad, so they get stuck there. It kind of reminded me of of the book that I read at the beginning of summer, Rock Paper Scissors, in a way. But yeah, it's an old house, or it's not an old house, but someone used to live there who died. So we're trying to figure out like what actually happened, and we find out that like stories are connected, and you know, people, you know what actually happened, and there are a lot of twists and turns. The author slash therapist who lived there had all her tapes in the house, and they listened to the tapes, and we figure out like what happened and all that. So yeah, that was fun. I give it 4 stars, 3.5, let's say. And I want to read more thrillers by this author now. That's all that I read from May to August. And if you've read any of these books, let me know down below what you thought of them, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!